Okay, picture this. You've spent weeks grinding, optimizing your damage dealers, and trying to build the ultimate roster. We all know the feeling. If you've played other massive gacha games, you already know that the true secret to breaking the game isn't always the flashy main damage dealer. It's the character standing behind them. It's the ultimate wild card that takes a good team and turns them into an unstoppable force. Well, it looks like Neverness to Everness is about to hand us our new best friend. Before we dive into the details and break this down together, if you love theory crafting, staying ahead of the meta, and getting the absolute best pull plans for your account, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps the channel out a lot, and we're going to be covering every single leak and kit breakdown to keep your account ahead of the curve. Now, hear me out. Let's completely flip how we usually look at patch updates. A lot of people look at new updates chronologically, but you have to look at the developer's grand design. Version 1.0 was the hook. It gave us powerful characters right out of the gate to make the game feel amazing from day one. Then we have version 1.1, which honestly is just a bridge patch. Characters like Lacrimosa and Chaos are definitely solid, but they aren't the ones that are going to fundamentally define the endgame. But version 1.2, that is the foundation. That is the patch where the developers are handing us the characters they actually want us to build our long-term accounts around. And the centerpieces of this new meta are Shinku in Phase 1 and the newly announced IROI in Phase 2. Together, they form what might be the most perfectly synergistic, complete package the game has ever given us. To really understand why IROI is the absolute secret sauce of this update, we have to look at the gameplay loop she creates with Shinku. This totally flips how we usually build our teams. Shinku is a hyper-aggressive, frontline damage dealer. Her whole playstyle revolves around diving into the fight from the air, stacking up fury, and then popping her ultimate to go into an absolute frenzy mode. It is incredibly satisfying, but there is a massive catch. Save up to 21% on your NTE top-ups using Loot Bar. It's a really trusted marketplace for cheaper top-ups. For example, the 6,480 Rift Crystal pack costs just $77.10 on Loot Bar, while in-game it will run you about $100, so you're saving almost $23 right away. How it works is that after the purchase, you'll be directed into a cloud emulation tool where you'll log into the game as if you were on your mobile device. Then select the pack you bought, and the product will be delivered instantly as if you bought it yourself in-game. Then any trace of your login is deleted. It's a quick and easy process, and one I've personally used myself a few times. A lot of players use Loot Bar with hundreds of thousands of purchases. Use my link down below and start saving today. During that burst window, Shinku is taking hits. She is vulnerable. She needs someone who can keep her alive through all that aggression, buff her attacks to make those frenzy hits actually matter, and most importantly, stay entirely out of her way so she doesn't lose her positioning. Enter IROI. She is officially confirmed as part of Containment Strike Unit 2, or CSU-2, which is the exact same faction as Shinku and Mint. But they don't just work well together because of the lore. They work together because IROI literally checks every single mechanical box Shinku could ever ask for. First of all, current leaks point to IROI being an Anima element character. Her core role is a healer, but please, do not roll your eyes at the word healer. She is not just some passive character who spams a heal button on cooldown. IROI fights at long range, meaning she naturally stays completely clear of Shinku's chaotic melee space. But here is where this is going to be so much fun. IROI's skill actually deploys up to 3 little sheep onto the battlefield. We are talking about a summon-based healer. Each one of these pets has its own distinct behavior and function, meaning they are doing active, passive work on the field while IROI manages her own resources from a distance. We haven't seen the exact numbers for each individual sheep yet. We'll get that during the official live stream, but this level of depth is incredible. You are essentially deploying a mini-crew to hold down the fort, and because her healing scales off her max HP, building her is completely transparent and straightforward. You stack HP to make her thicker, and in return, she directly guarantees your team's survivability. She even has a self-heal built right into her QTE swap ability, meaning she sustains herself without eating up the resources your main DPS desperately needs. But wait, the damage ceiling just went through the roof. Because they basically do the job of 2 characters at once. IROI isn't just keeping your team breathing. She actively buffs your allies' attack. And if you decide to invest deeply into her awakenings, she starts handing out massive ally crit damage buffs on top of that. This is the ultimate Swiss Army knife for your account. The more love you give to IROI, the harder Shinku hits during her frenzy. This isn't just a filler healer. This is an offensive enabler who makes sure your DPS completely wipes the floor with the enemy. And if that wasn't enough, we need to talk about the elemental synergy, because this is the craziest part. I've seen a lot of people miss this detail. Shinku is a Cosmos element character and IROI is Anima. On the Esper cycle, Cosmos and Anima are adjacent to each other. When you swap between these two elements, you trigger a reaction called Blossom. What does Blossom do? It spawns an auto-attacking turret on the field that deals continuous area of effect damage to the enemies. So when you run these two together, you aren't just getting damage and healing. You are getting Shinku's massive burst damage, Iroy's consistent sustain, insane offensive buffs, and a literal turret raining down passive damage in the background. That is 3 separate layers of value from just 2 characters. It is the definition of a complete endgame team. Now, I do need to address the elephant in the room, because the community has been pretty vocal about this. If you've been following the game since before launch, you remember Iroy's original model from the early Coax test trailer. She had these massive, dramatically curved horns and an eye patch that gave her a really striking, dangerous vibe. It was a bold design that immediately made you stop scrolling. When she showed up as an NPC in version 1.1, the developers had made some huge changes. The eye patch is totally gone, and the horns have been noticeably shrunk down. I know a lot of players felt that nerf, and I genuinely get it. The original look was iconic. But honestly, the new design is still incredibly clean and cohesive. She's rocking this beautiful mint green hair, a crisp white outfit, and striking red accents. It works so perfectly for her character, and I promise you, the second players actually get their hands on her gameplay and see how hard she buffs their accounts. The discourse about her horns is going to vanish overnight. So, what does this mean for your analyth and your overall pull strategy? Let's be strategic here. If you are sitting on a stash of currency and wondering where to invest, version 1.2 is the answer. If you are a veteran player who already picked up solid options from the 1.0 launch, and you can comfortably clear current content, then you can completely skip the 1.1 banners. It's extremely rare in gacha games to get 2 characters back-to-back in the same patch that are so explicitly designed to elevate each other. Pulling Shinku for the raw damage and then pulling IROI for the ultimate amplification and survival creates a fully self-sufficient team in just one patch. It is quite literally the smartest, most efficient way to spend your hard-earned pulls. Instead of splitting your resources on a bridge patch character and struggling to build a team later, just save up, skip the filler, and aim for the foundation. Of course, keep in mind that this is all based on beta data and leaks. Numbers are always subject to change before the live release, and we will get the final, set-in-stone details during the official 1.2 livestream. But the core mechanics, the off-field summon depth, the Esper cycle synergy, the role compression, direction is clear enough that we can safely start planning right now. Iroi is not an obligation pull. She is the reason your Shinku will feel like a complete, unstoppable monster. Save your Annulith, guys. Version 1.2 is going to be so worth it. Who are you planning to pair them with if you pull for the 1.2 core? Are you skipping 1.1, or did Lacrimosa tempt you? Let me know down in the comments. I'd absolutely love to read your team ideas.